It's like the people who are too serious, either they're thinking about negative outcomes from the past or they're thinking about possible negative outcomes in the future. Like you know that you are where you're supposed to be when you're not thinking about what's gonna happen or what happened. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another episode of the Infinite Charge podcast. I am your host, Malachi White.
I'm your host, Tahir Jones.
And today we have a very interesting topic. This is a topic that me and Tahir just went back and forth on so much. And I'm sure that you saw the title of today's episode. The title is Why So Serious? And I remember just how I came up with the title was I remember there was just this scene in this Batman movie where Joker was just looking at Batman and he asked the question, why so serious? And like, not saying that, Joker is somebody who we're going to be breaking down, but it's just stuck in my head. Like the question, why so serious? Mm-hmm. And I'm at a point in time in my life right now where I'm asking myself that question. With just a little bit of background. So I played college basketball at Raritan Valley, and one of my struggles as a freshman was shooting the ball, like just my actual technique, my jump shot, my form or whatever. And I spent a lot of time working on just trying to get that form down so that I can feel confident when it's time for me to shoot the ball. And I would be so diligent and so serious about showing up to my work, to my workouts and working on my jump shot, to the point where my jump shot should be like so I could be sure about my jump shot for when it's time for me to shoot it, when the lights are on. And I'll be so serious about doing these workouts and things like that. And then I would show up in a game and carry that serious attitude into everything that I do, to the point where I would just be tight because I'm so serious about the outcome of every play that I'm just consistently analyzing everything. And I know I'm talking a lot about sports for those who don't play sports, but I'm telling you, this is going somewhere and we're really going to get into it. But so I would be so uptight that by the time I get the ball and I'm getting into my jump shot, just like I practice, I would be so concerned about the outcome of that ball going through the net that I would actually kind of jinx myself. I would get to the top of my release where I'm supposed to release the ball, and something would go wrong. And then once I missed that jump shot, because I was already tight, I just get even more tighter. And then with each and every attempt, it just feel like literally I would just hope that somebody would just ask me the question, like, dude, why are you so serious? You know what I mean? Like, calm down, relax. You've done the work already. Like, this should be fun. Yeah. And I'm sure that there's so many examples of this, not even sports related, where you could do everything that you're supposed to, be serious about doing things. But when it's time to, like, even for bad test takers, let's say you spend a whole night studying for an accounting exam, for an example or something like that. And then you go and take the exam and you're just, you think so hard about stuff that you studied already that you end up getting so many questions wrong. And then you come to the conclusion that you're a bad test taker or something like that, when really that's not the case.
Yeah.
But before we really get into it, let's just open up in prayer. Heavenly Father, I just want to thank you so much for blessing me and Ty to see episode 7 of this podcast. We're just so thankful that you put this on our heart, and that we can continue to witness and to continue to come up with new messages, dear Lord, that will not only speak to people around the world, dear Lord, or even this small listening group that we have right now, dear Lord, but that it will also speak to us ourselves when we're going through tough times and we need to remember what you instilled in us and what it is that you put within us to show the world, dear Lord, so that we can remember who we are and continue to get through each and every chapter that you're putting us through. I just want to pray that you just bless today's message, that we will say that me and Tahir will speak words that glorify your name, and And at the end of the day, dear Lord, this message will be listened to by the right person who needs it at the right time. In your most precious name I pray. Amen.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
about this topic, I just want to say something really quickly. Like, I pride myself on hard work, dedication, patience, persistence, things of that nature. But it's like that type of stuff could only take you but so far. You know what I
Right.
mean? You might find yourself strained and stressed out trying to work so hard and get results that you're trying to manifest when really, God and the universe has a way of working where your mind can't even perceive like the outcome. It
Right.
might be even greater than you expect. So I don't want to, I wouldn't want you to put limitations on the outcomes. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
And
So
I'm sorry.
learning the law of detachment, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's important. We're gonna get more into that like later on in the episode, but focusing really on law of detachment will help you loosen up and not be so serious about whatever you want to manifest or whatever you want to do in this life.
Exactly. Yeah, the law of attachment is definitely something that is going to be a constant theme throughout what we're talking about, and it's going to be the practical takeaway for people who aren't really into all of the spiritual examples. Well, the law of detachment is a written law for those people to be able to understand.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, another thing I want to say is like adding on to what you were just saying. I feel like it's human nature for us to want to like be able to control each and every outcome, even though we know that there are some things that we can't control. We just want to control, like naturally, we want to control just enough and then some. But
Yeah, but I feel like that's because you know that goes for lower levels and higher levels because there's high
right,
levels of that too. Like, a part of the success mindset is always being willing to learn, taking action,
right,
going hard each and every day, staying consistent. But like I said earlier, like that could only take you but so far. Like, I feel like a well-rounded perspective of success is spiritual,
hmm,
mental, and like physical.
right,
So you may be working hard on the physical realm, but
hmm,
you might not be working as hard on the spiritual realm, and that's why you can't manifest certain things you want to manifest.
exactly. And it all goes hand in hand. We always hear, like so many adages and quotes about hard work and what hard work can do for us. But there is a such thing as working too hard to the point where you're self-sabotaging. And it's hard work is an aspect. Then there are other aspects that you talked about. Like in order to be a well-rounded person, there's the spiritual aspects, and then there are like I would say even mental aspects to add on to it to go along with what you're physically doing to prepare yourself. There's so many ways that we need to prepare ourselves. And when it comes to mental preparation, it's about mindfulness, really. That's the term a lot of people are using now. And it's like when you can control your mental, then because everything is about mentality when it comes to just life in general. It's about
Yeah,
mentality. If you can allow your spirit to take hold of your mental,
yeah,
then that hard work that you put in, you will get the most out of that work, that hard work
yeah.
that you put in with your physical hands and with your physical feet and with your physical body. Because
Everything is balanced.
exactly, everything
And
is
then
balanced.
when you look at like all the big CEOs, all the big companies or whatever, like Elon Musk, you know, Bill Gates, he has all these brilliant ideas, right?
Right.
But he executes them to his best ability. And then he also has a team around him
Yeah.
to work harder than he does.
Exactly.
But he gets most of the credit.
Yeah.
So, really understanding, not taking things serious and building a good team around you
Mm.
also creates power for yourself, because at the end of the day, you get the credit, but you're not really doing the work. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's kind of like that hard work beats talent thing. Yeah, it's true. Or hard work is going to get you over the hump. Yeah, it could take you only but so far.
Right.
But then it you come to a realization that is more than just hard work, and hard work is just kind of detrimenting to you, because you could get strained out and put so much stress on your body and take out the fun of life. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I'm so glad that you brought up the whole like support system thing, because sometimes through life, for even for like people like me and you, and just for other people in general who are trying to create a better future for themselves, sometimes you just get in your head that when you're very serious and you get that voice in your head, it's like you feel like you're alone. When
Mm-hmm.
really, if you just take a deep breath, if you just look to the left and the right, if you just take a little bit of time to get out of your head and just look around, there are plenty of people that God has placed in your life to be able to help you to get to that outcome. And
Yeah,
those people want to help you. It's just
yeah,
a matter of whether you're going to get out of your head and recognize those people or not.
yeah. That's
And
that's a fact.
yeah, man. Even me personally, just recently, like I had like a very nice conversation with my parents. Just about life in general, but about some hardships that I face in recent months. And like I remember just sometimes I get so locked in with the daily routines, with the weekly routines, I should say, and just trying to get to a certain point that it's like there would be like a voice in my head that's like, okay, maybe you should share some things you're going with your folks, or maybe you should talk to somebody. But I would ignore that voice because it's like I'm so serious about what I'm chasing right now that it's like they would never understand that. They wouldn't, all they would do is judge me or it wouldn't be a productive conversation. I don't want to talk. I just want to work. That would be my answer to pain a lot of times is I just want to work. Forget talking about what it is that I've been through. I just want to be serious about what I'm going after. When really it's like that one conversation with my parents changed the way it even put the idea of this podcast in my head, because it's like, wow, why was I so serious that I started like that I allowed like my relationship with my parents to go a certain way, all because like I just wanted to be so serious about what I'm going after, when really I talk to them and they're like, yeah, we 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 see the same like we see the same goals that you're chasing, that those goals that you see for yourself, we see it in you, and we want to help you to get there.
Yeah,
We're your
that's
support
yeah.
system.
And
But
that you kind of
yeah,
forget about that. Like
yeah, exactly.
I get that a lot, man. I start to self criticize myself and not really
Yep,
give credit for what I have already accomplished. And
exactly. And
I
another
think
thing,
I think a lot of people is like that though, bro. Like
a lot.
a lot of great people, like a lot of great people like that. Like we could talk about Kobe Bryant,
Mhm.
Michael Jordan. All of them was like not satisfied. You know what I mean? And they all wanted to work themselves kind of to death.
Right.
And we seen it. Kobe Bryant is a great athlete. I love Kobe. But like we seen how detrimental it was to his career.
I mean, his
You know what I
body
mean?
was
He
on.
didn't, yeah,
Yeah.
he didn't win a championship by himself until he realized he had a team around him. When he
Right.
realized he had Pau Gasol, when he realized he had Ron Artest, you
Right.
know what I mean?
Right.
When he realized he had a team, that's when everything started to come together, and things was working out tenfold for the whole team and the organization. He came out one of the greatest athletes.
Exactly. Yeah, I think guys like that, it's like Kobe had to go through the pain of losing in order to understand. Like naturally, Kobe wasn't the type of guy to like immediately recognize his support system. And like you said, a lot of people are like that. Like so many people, like once you get to a certain, and I think this is like even people who are maybe like our age demographic, like young, trying to figure things out, it's easy to forget the support system. Like, and Kobe, like Afro Kobe, man, think about how much he had to learn in order to become a champion And then like you said,
But
even after Shaq left, he still had some growth to do. But we could talk about Kobe and Jordan, all these guys all day, but maybe we come out with a little sports something. But it's a great example, and that leads to the next point, which is I feel like there's a time and a place for everything. And I feel like the time to be serious is in routines, like and building yourself up, building the skills that you need, the confidence that you need to go out and surrender and to release yourself and allow the spirit to allow electricity to flow through you. Now we talked about Kobe, and there are some people who are extreme about this seriousness as far as performing these routines and preparing, putting in the hard work. But realistically, I think the main thing that people should focus on when it comes to building routines and to putting in the work is to just show up, really. I think
yeah,
that's the best way to do it, because in order, like, it's hard to tell how serious somebody is by analyzing that person for one day. But if you look at that person for a week or for a month or for a year,
you're
you can
exactly.
see how
You'll know
much they're showing up
exactly.
for those
Yeah.
things that they are serious about when the lights aren't on, when nobody's watching. Like for me and you with this podcast, how we have to conversate sometimes before we even get the cameras going or whatever. We have like I don't know, I can't speak for you, but I know that I'm constantly thinking about like sometimes it's like a good mix. Sometimes I'm thinking about where God maybe would want us to go next with this thing, but then by the act of me thinking about it just a little bit, then it would drop on my spirit. I know what I need to do research on, and I show up for it. And
And
then yeah,
realize what you just said. You
mhm,
said think. You
yeah,
said think. I feel like you are your thoughts. Like I
yeah,
feel like you could never get away from what you think. You know what I mean?
you can't.
So, like in terms of, and we talked about planting seeds, the power of planting. You
Right.
know what I mean? You don't have to put that much, like you have to put in a lot of work, but it gets maxed out to a certain point.
It
And
does.
then you take a break, and your mind is already wired to know when to get back to work. You know what I mean? Because
Exactly.
you planted that seed in your mind. You
Exactly.
can't be the average person. You know what
You
I
can't.
mean?
Yeah.
The plant the seed planted in your mind already set you up for success. So that's why it's important to plant. And now me saying that is like all our episodes come
Coming
together. Like
together.
it's
Yup.
all making
Yup.
sense.
It's all making
And
sense.
it sounds so cliche, but it's like the truth, man. And it's simple. And anybody could attain this if they're just willing to do it.
Man, it's just the fact of the matter is that all things work together. And just to close out, like, and add on to what you're saying, but simultaneously close out this point, it's like the seeds have already been planted. All you need to do is just water that thing.
It
As it's growing,
all
you're
you
not
need to
watering it. You're allowing the sun, who we believe to be the higher
God.
power, the universe, God. You're allowing the sun to to,
All we
to
gotta
grow
do
that
is
thing.
be, bro. All
Yeah.
we gotta do is live.
Exactly, exactly. And by showing up, we mean watering that thing, putting in the work when the sun might not be directly. The sun is always like, okay, like God is always watching.
Yeah.
Um, but sometimes it's about, and even though there are some points where you feel like it's like, yo, what is going on right now? Like, is God, do you see what's going on? I need some intervention. Even through those points, you have to continue to show up and execute so
Yeah.
that when it's time, um, then when it's time for you to see the harvest or for you to see that plant grow, then that's when you can relax and allow
And
God
when
to,
you're in the, and
yeah,
then this also being in the spirit, you know, when you're in the spirit, God flows through you. So you want to naturally do things that's gonna better you. Like, how do I say this? I just was thinking about it. I lost it.
mhm,
It's like it, I'm trying to think about it, but it's like when you plant those seeds, it's so much easier to go through life and just flow with life because God, yes, God is gonna put you in those uncomfortable, you know,
Situations. Yeah.
situations. But it's like if you got the spirit, you know, you learn to detach from the outcome, you stay neutral,
Hmm.
things is just gonna be just fine. And you're gonna learn from it and get wiser at the end of the day from any situation, good or bad.
Right. And I think part of doing that is just understanding that when it comes to the flesh, oh, like, okay, the flesh is always trying to figure out what the spirit knows. It's like the left hand always wants to know what the right hand knows. Now, you have a choice to create that divide where you allow your flesh to go so far. You put in the work through your flesh, you show up, you do what you need to do, you prepare. But then when it's time to just go out and just do it, when it's time to have that conversation with that person, when it's time to maybe get up and give that speech or have that podcast episode or whatever athletic event, some anything,
Mm.
you already train your flesh to do what it needs to do. Now the flesh is cut off. That means you relax yourself and you allow the spirit to take over and you allow God to take the will. The or like it's almost like this idea of freedom and surrendering your rights to what's gonna happen. And really it's like, okay, you surrendered your rights, but the freedom is you feel free. Like you feel so loose. Like
Yeah,
when you're serious and when you're too serious about something and when you're in the flesh
yeah.
and it's like a muscle contraction. You could literally be super tight. Like if you're in an uncomfortable situation and you're trying to control the outcome, you're trying to see what's going on as you're thinking, your body is literally tightening up. But in order for electricity to flow through your body or or in order for the spirit to flow through you, you need to relax. You take a deep breath. And that's when the mindfulness comes in. I know you do things like meditation, things like that. It's really just to train yourself to cut off the flesh so that when it's time to get in the spirit, you're in the spirit. Like there's no
Yeah,
confusion.
yeah, bro. And I love that. Like, this is like a huge reminder for me, man, because I do find myself getting caught up in the hard work, go hard at it every day.
Right.
When really, like, just sitting back and observing. Meditation is like one of the things that changed my life, and I'm sure it would change yours.
It will.
But meditation doesn't always have to be eyes closed, you know, in
Hmm.
the monk position. It could be doing something you love outside of something you would call work.
Right.
So
Exactly.
I feel like that's big that you talked about that. Like how has meditation been for you?
For me, I'm not gonna lie. I never like my journey with meditation has been interesting because I started out right. My whole approach was like, yo, like I'm not gonna lie. I felt like meditation was a waste of time because I felt like
Mhm.
just to just breathe and to just focus on nothing. Now there's so many different types of meditation, but the meditation I thought about was the breathing and focusing on nothing. Now it all changed when I started to it. Well, this has changed recently, but just to add on to where I was going, like with I started to visualize things. And that's when I noticed that, yo, like if you don't focus on nothing at first, you're not gonna be able to focus on anything. Because in order
Anything.
to
Right.
visualize, you need to be able to take the goals that you wrote on your paper and bring them to life. And you need to focus on that thing so much that you can see your goals like literally alive, like in your mind. But it's so hard to do that when you don't focus your mind through meditation first. So I realized that I was struggling to visualize, and then it's like, okay, I need to warm up in order to do this. And then I realized that meditation, the act of thinking about nothing, bro,
Mhm.
literally all day it's constantly stuff just flooding our minds, bro, from notifications to just It's our even just thoughts like, oh damn, I got a paper I gotta turn in, and you know what I mean, like stuff like that. Like life is hectic, bro, and it's like there's not a lot of room for just white space and just thinking about nothing. And the act of doing that just for a little bit every day will allow you to relax your shoulders and look at that stress a little bit
differently.
differently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So I just
so
recently started doing it.
yeah, when we talk, all right, so let's talk about like, systematic things that we can't change. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Like going to college, getting a job, getting that
right.
9 to 5.
Right.
How do you not take that so serious and
Ooh, that's a great question.
and really just be, you know what I mean? And stay in the spirit while, you know, working a 9 to 5, going to college,
Mhm.
kind of trying to find your footing.
How do you
We
not take
have
all that
huh?
serious?
Yeah, like how to still remain in that why so serious mindset and everything works together mindset.
And I like how you did that. You said something, I forgot what episode it was, but you said something that really stood out to me. You said, I asked you something. I said, how can somebody, because we talk about the flesh and the spirit so much. So many things me and you just talked about it. It's starting to connect. These dots are starting to connect. This is episode 8. I mean, but I feel like everything we're going to talk about is going to be connected
Mhm.
under these certain laws that we're speaking about, these universal laws. But you said something, right? When I asked you, how can somebody get into the spirit? And this is going to be the answer to your question to a certain degree. But you were
Mhm.
like, first thing they need to do in order to quiet some noise is to stop looking at social media. And this is that I feel like in order to stop taking life so serious, we need to stop looking at everybody else around us and stop comparing ourselves, because
Yeah,
it's like you could be comparing your chapter 2 to somebody else's chapter 20 and wondering you don't why you haven't experienced certain things yet, or why, when really it's like if you would just focus on if you would just focus on God and just focus on, not even just, because I want to say focus on yourself, but really focusing on yourself too much could create that serious, like what we're kind of going against today. If you just focus on, hmm, if you just focus, I could say God, but then I could also say if you just focus on nothing and just continue to show up. Obviously, there are goals that once you write the goal, once you put in that work, visualize whatever, obviously you look at it, you glance at it every once in a while, but you just focus on showing up and then surrendering when it's time to surrender, then you will be able to turn that page and get to your next chapter, as
I
opposed to
agree.
looking at other people who are on so many different chapters.
Yeah.
It's like, of course, you're going to be taking things serious when you feel like you're behind, or
Yeah, exactly.
when you feel like when you start to look at other things that just aren't you, of course
And
you're gonna
then
feel some type of way.
and then I'm glad you said that because when you start to feel behind, you start to get caught up in the outcome to catch up.
Right,
Really, that defeats the purpose of the law of detachment. You know what
right,
I mean? The law of detachment teaches in order to manifest our desires, we must release attachment to the outcome itself as well as the path it might take to get there.
right, right. Man, bro, that is just like even
And then,
just
and then another thing to add on to your answer, I want to talk about
mhm,
is like knowing that knowing that so many other people would kill to be in your position. You know what I mean? We start to take life for granted, even though we are
exactly.
working that 9 to 5 job,
Right,
even though we are getting that degree in college and staying up all night studying, then going to practice if you're an athlete. A lot of people would kill to be in our position, man. And
right,
just being able to really understand that and then capitalize on that as much as you can until you reach the next chapter and put things together.
right.
That's important that you try to work on that.
And you know what? That goes, I'm so glad you said that. That goes along with the whole idea of mindfulness, because at the
Yeah,
end of the day, we have people out here chasing these goals because they feel like when they get to the finish line, they're going to be able to look a certain way, feel a
there is
certain
no
way.
finish line.
No, there isn't. The reward is the journey. And guess who said that? Guess who I
Nip
got that
Hustle,
from?
Nip. Well,
No,
I
no,
got
no.
I got something.
Kobe Bryant said that. And you know why Kobe Bryant said that? Because he felt like if he just put his body through hell enough times and get to this. So you remember that picture where Kobe was in the locker room holding the Larry O'Brien trophy, which is the NBA championship trophy, and he just
Yeah.
looked so dejected. He looked so sad because really Kobe felt, and this was his first championship. And you know why he felt that
Oh,
way?
that's a legendary
It
picture.
is a
Why did he feel
legendary
that?
picture, bro.
Why did he
Everybody
feel
saw
that
that.
way?
It's
Why
like
did he?
he
I
felt
never
that
thought
way.
about that because
Yeah,
he was
exactly. He felt
sad.
that way because he put himself through hell. He made so many sacrifices, and he got there. And guess who he was thinking about? Number one, his parents who weren't there. His parents. He was
Oh,
thinking, he was upset because his parents did not show up to watch him win his first championship. And it's like, it goes back to this thing.
wow.
It's like we take these things for granted. We take these people for granted because when we're so serious, we don't look at the complete picture. Sometimes it's a matter of just
Wow.
like you said, detaching yourself from the outcome and looking at what God has placed around you. Like you said, there are some people who would
Yes.
die to be in our situation right now. But at the end of the day, we don't think about that because we're so focused on where we got to get to this point. Like it's like, bro, it's like, have you ever
Exactly,
got on
bro.
an airplane? It's a like for me, I grew up taking road trips, right? So
Mhm.
when I took my first flight, I was a little bit disappointed because I'm like, it's cool and all being above. I don't got to be sitting in the back for because me and my family would take trips from Jersey to Georgia, right? It's
Mhm.
16 hours. Now, people be like, 16 hours? Why the hell are you doing that when you can just fly? But I think about with that trip, right? Even those, like, even as an adult, like, I still think about all of the fun times I had with my family with that road trip to where even the bad parts about the trip, like your knees be hurting. Like I'm like 6'3". I don't like to be sitting, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. But I don't remember that part. Like I remember those road trips as being so fun, being with
Mhm.
my family or whatever. So when I took a flight, which is something to get to the destination faster, you know what I mean? And it's more convenient and is better. To most people, I just was like, it was just like I didn't fly with my family. I was by myself. I mean, it was fast and whatever, but it's just like, damn, I didn't get to see this place or that place or what I usually see on the highway or whatever. And it's like so many people want to get on these airplanes to get to the end point so that they could feel a certain way when really that's not the reward. It's the journey, it's the road trip, it's the
Exact that
ups and downs.
yes, that's the reward. Like a lot of people, like you said, a lot of people want to take the elevator to the top.
Right.
A lot of people don't want to
Exactly.
take the stairs, man. But you have to take the stairs.
It's like
And
when you yeah,
taking the stairs is much more beautiful
it
because
is.
you see everything that you laid out from the very beginning,
Yep. Yep.
from the doubts to the successes to the failures. Like you
Yep.
see all of that, and it's beautiful.
Yep. It's like you could look back, like, bro, like, have you ever had the experience where you could look back at a certain period during your life and be like, man, you know what, that time was that was pretty fun. But in the time, you know, there were some real things you were dealing with at the
Yeah,
time, right?
yeah,
But when you look
exactly.
back on it, it's
It's
like
always like
that was
that.
fun. Yeah, it's like
Exactly.
you say that was fun, but really in that moment you didn't feel that way. Like we take
Yeah,
for granted so many different things until we look back on it. And then
yeah.
it's like, okay, we're taking for granted the past. Why are we taking for granted the present right now and looking forward so far into an outcome that we know damn well we can't control? Why aren't we acknowledging everything we're thankful for right now in the present?
Wow. And then
Like,
we could also talk about that, like
right.
living in the present moment, not worried about what happened in the past, not
Yep.
worried about what's going to happen in the future, right? We have no control of anywhere. Our mind is like programmed to want to figure out our mind loves it's human nature to love to gamble,
Right.
Predictions.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody want to feel right when it comes to that.
Mm-hmm.
But really understanding the moment in the present, living
Right.
in the moment, living in the present, like that's what life is about, man. Like living the moment up to the fullest.
It is.
And and when and that kind of go hand in hand with the why so serious topic that we're talking about. So what would you say about living in the present?
I would say that whenever it's always a good sign of if you are taking something too serious and you aren't allowing the true essence of who you are to shine through your natural instincts, the spirit God put in you to shine through. A good sign is when you're constantly, like, from my example at the very beginning when I talked about the jump shot,
Mm.
I knew that I was being too serious and that I wasn't really operating from the where I should be operating from, because when I was about to take that jump shot, I thought about the last jump shot in the week before, games from
Mm.
weeks ago, times when I messed up my wrist and I didn't know if I'd be able to shoot the same. I thought about all of those. I thought about the past instead of focusing on this present moment. This is a new jump shot, a brand new opportunity for me to make a shot and to score points for my team. And I'm thinking about those times when I miss. It's like, for people who are too serious, either they're thinking about negative outcomes from the past or they're thinking about possible negative outcomes in the future. Like, you know that you are where you're supposed to be when you're not thinking about what's going to happen or what happened. You're just focused on, you're not even, honestly, you're just like, bro, all of them times where I ever felt like I was in the zone, whether it's off, like whether it's just in life in general, or maybe it could be within a basketball game. An example of being in his zone is you're not thinking about what's going to happen next. You're not thinking about anything. And actually, it feels like something else is controlling you. Have you ever heard people say that, where it's like, oh, I was in the zone, I didn't
Yeah,
even know?
I caught the spirit, like,
Right, right. It's like you don't know. And it's that, yo, anybody
and
can
that's a
experience
form
that.
of meditation,
It
bro.
is. It is. You can
That's
train
a
yourself to do that.
yeah.
Yup.
Like, a lot of these professional athletes and professional public speakers get into that zone, man. They like zone out,
Right.
but it's like a beautiful sense of realization at the same time.
Right. It's almost like when you're in a zone, it's like freedom is in surrender. You hopped over into the passenger side, and the spirit that God put in you is driving that vehicle, and you're just enjoying the ride. That's what
Yeah.
it's like. It's like you can't go wrong that way, man. And even when something happens wrong, when you're operating from the place that you're supposed to, you're not even thinking about it. Like, it's
Right.
like it's like, bro, like
It's
it's
kind of like,
crazy.
yeah, it's like a passive mindset, bro.
It is. It
It's,
is.
it's so peaceful.
It is. It really is. And then it's like moving forward, right? I feel like life in general just puts enough pressure on us, and like, it just, everybody's dealing with some form of stress right now. Everybody has pressure on them, no matter how old you are, what's going on in your life. And the fact of the matter is that in this life, we will struggle. We will always have some sort of pressure on us. If we defeat one villain, best believe it's another villain
Life will never
waiting,
be
waiting to
easy,
jump
bro.
on you.
Life will
But
be never ever be easy. But Nip Hustle, I always talk about Nip Hustle.
hold
And
on, bro.
he's always dropping so much information in his songs.
Right,
One of his lines said, um, run your marathon, run your race at your own pace,
right.
but best believe you better finish.
Yeah.
So I feel like, being comfortable with who you are and and your pace of life, not being so serious,
Hmm.
but knowing that you must finish at the same time, never giving up. I feel like that's the best way to handle things when you're having tough times and you want to give up. and you worked hard, you feel like you pushed yourself to your limits, take a step back, start to pace yourself.
Right.
Go at a different pace,
Right.
but at the same time, know you must finish.
You must finish. And another thing, right? We are this episode. I'm sure it'll speak to everybody, but this episode is more so for those people who feel like they have given this thing their all, but they just don't know. They can't see anything to
Yeah,
show for it. And we're just trying to tell you, like, just relax. All things are working together for your good. You just can't tell because you're so focused on what didn't go right. You're so
sure.
focused
Yeah.
on what you need to do right moving forward. Just relax. Once you know that all things work together for your good, why are you being so serious after that?
Present, man.
Yeah. And then to those people who lazy as hell and not doing nothing, you need to be serious.
Oh yeah, bro. Yeah, because we already sleep like 1/3 of our life away, man. So
Exactly.
why the hell are you being lazy in this motherfucker, man? Honestly, why the hell are you being lazy in this motherfucker, man? You know what I mean? You know what I
Yeah.
mean, bro?
Yeah.
It's
It's
like,
like, see, I told you was gonna be able to say that, and it was gonna be natural. I told you
yeah,
that. See,
yeah,
we
you
just
did.
relaxed.
You did. Preparation, bro.
Yeah,
I,
hey, yeah, just for everybody listening, we were preparing, right? Tahir was like, "Yeah, I had this point. You sleep 1/3 of your life or something like that." He's like, "Do you think that I should say that?" And I'm like, I'm thinking in my head, like, well, it's not really what we talking about,
yeah.
but I'm trusting and believing in what we're doing so much that when we after that prayer, me and him, we're in the spirit right now. We're just
Just
going back and forth. And if you
yeah.
listen to episode 1, that's a good example of not being in the spirit because we're trying. I know from on my end, I was trying to control what was going on, but it's like literally he said, like, if you lazy, you already sleep 1/3 of your life. What are you doing? Get your ass out the bed and
Mm.
let's be serious about the execution so that let's be serious early so that we can enjoy what God has for us later.
And I feel like for the lazy folks, when they actually decide to take control of their life to a certain degree,
Mhm.
like I feel like they will all come back to this episode, because this episode is kind of for the people, like you said, that has been taking action, has been putting in the work, but
Mhm.
don't really see things getting better in the future.
Right. Right.
Just continue to live in the present moment, man. Don't worry about the future, because the universe has a strange way of working, man. Tomorrow you might wake up in a Bugatti. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you never know.
Tomorrow you might wake up in a Bugatti. You never know, bro.
Stranger things have occurred, man, for sure. And just last but not least, like just to drive this thing home, like another point is like, and it falls perfectly in line with the law of detachment. And okay, to those people who have listened to, I believe it was episode 2, one of my favorites. It was the true nature of electricity. I said something. Um, I said that if you were to ever have, like, say for instance, if you were to have somebody who's close to you buy a new vehicle, and that person has that vehicle, and you start to see that vehicle on the road more, um then it's like, okay, you might have processed what I said as, and what we said, we've said this before, but it's like if you think about something for long enough, it's more likely to occur, which is true, right? So you might be wondering, like, okay, if you told us to think about these good things, these positive outcomes for long enough, why are you now telling us to stop thinking about that stuff and to surrender that to God? Well, here's a distinction that's going to be made right now to make this make sense for you right now.
Yeah.
When you are consciously thinking about the outcome of something, like I'm talking about, you're in the flesh and you're constantly thinking about the outcome of something, that thing won't happen for you.
Won't it just move more and more away from you?
Yep. But when you're in the spirit and you are subconsciously thinking about something, like, okay, what you weren't thinking about that car, it, like, because your aunt bought that car, don't make you think about that car more. It's just subconsciously you remembered, you saw that car, and subconsciously you associated it with a car that your aunt has. That's your memory. The thing is, what we're trying to say is when you consciously think about something, it won't happen. But when you train yourself through visualization, through prayer, through meditation, to subconsciously to add that to your subconscious mind, then that stuff will happen. Not the conscious things, the subconscious things. And that's what we're talking about. Like, for
Exactly.
example,
What you
yeah,
think about, what you attract.
exactly.
Like, and like you said, like, um, what did you just say
I was saying, like,
before? I was thinking of something I wanted to say.
oh, I was saying when you try too hard to make
Yeah.
things happen, then it won't work
Yeah.
out.
And then think, all right, because just think about it. It has to be that way because let's say you really thought about it, you really wanted this thing and you got it, right?
Right.
Imagine if you lost it. What type of mind state would you be in if you lost something that you really dreamed of and really wanted? That would be even more detrimental.
It would.
You know what I mean?
It's
So,
almost like,
so, so
yeah, it's like the higher power knows best. And that's why
knows
certain
best.
things
Yeah,
happen
exactly.
at certain times. I know exactly what you're saying.
Exactly.
I know exactly what you're
That's
saying.
what I
And
wanted to say.
yeah, and there's so many examples of, like, we get to think about some small examples of when you are trying too hard to get something, you probably won't get it. Like, let's say, like, there's so many examples of this. Like if you ever thought about those around fall, I believe is when you start to see like these little like these little seeds, and some of them, there's so many different types of seeds that fall or float around in the air. And you see there's these certain seeds where it looks like a little bit like a dandelion or something. It just looks like it's like it just floats in the air. And I'm sure if you could picture what I'm talking about, I'm sure as a child you've probably chased these things around, trying to grasp it, trying to grab it, but and you open your palm and it's not there, and that thing is still just floating up in the air. It's kind of like that. Or let's say if you try too hard to get the attention of somebody, and that person knows that you're trying hard to get their attention, they're probably gonna withhold their attention from you, if that makes sense. It's like
Yeah.
it's like it doesn't if you were to be able to, and sometimes there's a rare occurrences where that happens, but like you said, it don't always work out that way.
Yeah.
But if you follow the natural like order of things and you do things the right way, not only will you attain what you're going for, but you will never lose it, because even if you lose that physical thing, it's like you won't lose yourself with that thing. But when you put yourself out there the wrong way and you lose that thing, you feel like you lost a part of your identity. You know what I mean? You can't take losses when you're in the spirit. It's like it's the craziest thing, man. It's like
Craziest thing, and it sounds like bluff. It
it
sounds
does.
like bluff, but it's true.
It does. And I feel like
'Cause
I just want to, we said this before, but you never know, man, when people are like, this could be somebody's first episode. I don't know. But all I want to say is I'm probably, I probably will continue. We probably will continue to give people the basic guidelines for how to do this. But I talked about the spirit so much, and that might be off-putting to people. But I want people to understand, number one, what it is and how to get into it. So we'll just touch on it a little bit. Like, the spirit is the true
Mhm.
essence of your character. It's who God made you to be. That person that you always envision yourself becoming, your spirit is already that. Your flesh may not be there yet. You may not be in that situation, but your spirit is full grown from the time that you're born. So by the time you're born, God already knows, the universe already knows what you're going to do throughout the course of your life. That's it within your spirit. That's within the true essence of your character. When we talk about that, it's like, if like it's like when you operate in a spirit, you're operating in within a natural order of how your life is supposed to play out. So when I say being in the spirit and being in the flesh is who you are right now, the skills you have attained so far, the mindset that you have right now. The flesh is like the flesh is like what you program it to be. The spirit is what God programs it to be. When you're like the spirit is full grown, so it knows everything that you're gonna do in this life. So the hard part is just trusting the spirit and cutting off the flesh so that we can get to where we need to go. When we say like
Mm.
when we ask the question why it's so serious, and when we say that we should surrender ourselves to be free, literally that just means surrendering the flesh, understanding that we don't know each and every outcome, and trusting the spirit that God put within us. Now, Ty, I think we're gonna have to continue to say this with each and every episode, but I'm gonna ask you, what can the end listener do who has never been in the spirit before? Don't maybe they don't remember any spiritual experiences, anything like that. What can they do to get into the spirit as early as today, right now, after this episode?
Something you could do today to get in the spirit. Um, I was something different. You want something different?
Nah, I mean, the the rules don't change to this thing. There are different things, obviously, we could talk about, but like just like like some basic
All right.
uh
So,
yeah,
all right, I will give. I will say recognizing that life is bigger than you and everything is connected. You know what I mean? I feel like and then number two, who you hang around. You know what I mean? The people around you could put you in a certain spirit if they're in the spirit and they have the charge with within themselves. Like if they have been doing the right things, I would say, being around like-minded people puts you in the spirit. Limiting distractions puts you in the spirit. Um, Limiting your fear puts you into the spirit. Because with none of these things, like you can't go into the spirit with fear. You can't go into the spirit with doubt. No, I mean you can't go into the spirit with like just stuff boggling around in your mind.
excess
That's
noise.
yeah. The noise, like I feel like it's that simple. You can't go into the spirit with all that other material and fleshly realm things, problems in your life.
Right.
Um, and then staying consistent. Like the more you do it, the more you do these things, the easier it is to get into the spirit. Like maybe sometimes you may slip off your pivot, and start getting distracted a little bit. But with consistency and practice, you could bounce right back and get into the spirit like this. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I feel like yeah, just limiting distractions, limiting fear, limiting noise, being around people that could charge you.
Yep.
All this stuff gets you in the spirit.
Yep. And it's like once you can limit the noise, then and create an environment where the spirit can be set free, then that's when you can go and speak to God and do things within it. You can operate within the spirit to make your spirit stronger. Like there are certain things that you can do. Like it takes somebody to be in the spirit in order to it takes somebody to be in the spirit and be productive in the spirit in order for them to be likely to go back into the spirit.
Yeah.
You know, if you just tap into the spirit to maybe get through a rough situation, but then you go back to just living a regular life, go back, cut on those same distractions again, even more. You're not, it's going to be harder for you to go
And it's
back.
going to be less, and it's going to start to be less and less effective.
It is.
So learning to be in the spirit, even though things is going right, learning to be in the spirit, even though you have $3 million in the bank. You know what I mean?
Right.
Learning to be in the spirit, even though you got your favorite book. Learning to be in the spirit, even though you got your favorite car. Even when things are going right with family, learning to still be oriented around the spirit. It's a lifestyle, man.
Exactly. And it's like it's very impacting for people to be around somebody who's in the spirit, whether they know that, whether they have spiritual knowledge or not. All that they can say is something is different about this person. I don't
Yeah,
know what it is, but I like it.
yeah,
And to those people who notice that and want to know more, you can lead them to what you've been on, you know. You can lead them to a relationship with God and a different relationship with themselves to where they could bring that out of themselves. And next thing you know, you just create an infinite charge because it's an ongoing cycle.
yeah,
So yeah, man, I think it, man, it's just this is so good. But I would say just to close out this topic,
yeah,
which is why so serious. Just we just need to remember that the journey is the reward, not the destination. So where you are right now, the situation you are right now, as you're listening to this podcast, you know what's going on in your life once this podcast goes off. You know what's going on, like you know where you are right now, and whether it's good or bad, understand that this is even if you're struggling, this is the reward because it's like you're gonna look back on this time when you as you continue to climb, you're gonna look back on it and just be so thankful and grateful to have had this opportunity, to have had to have listened to the songs that you listened to, the movies that you watched, the people that you hung around, good or bad. You're gonna remember the just being. You're just gonna be thankful and grateful to have been in that situation.
yeah. You're just gonna, you're just gonna remember, like, how do I say this? You're gonna remember that you're gonna live at the end of the day. No matter
Exactly.
no matter the obstacles, no matter how hard life gets, the failures, the ups and downs, you're gonna live. So
Yep.
run your race at your pace, run your marathon at your pace, man. But just make sure you finish. Make sure
Exactly.
nothing breaks you. Cause that's not what God put us on the earth here to do. God didn't put us on the earth to fall into, things like depression,
Mm-hmm.
like anxiety. God didn't put us, that's not spiritual feelings, you know what I mean?
It's not. It's
So I
not.
feel like God put us on this earth to have fun, you know what I mean, and learn and then move on. That's
Exactly.
simple.
And if you find yourself having difficulty to adopt that, if you find yourself having difficulty to adopt the all things mindset, to know that all things work together, if you feel like that tension that's in your body, in your mind, you can't let go of it, then it's
Speak.
time to look at your support system. There's
Yeah,
always somebody. And those
yeah.
people who say that they don't have anybody, those are the people who are so deep down into this
And closed
mindset.
minded.
Yeah, it's like I feel for those people, but it's like there's always you can just having the knowledge that you can always go lower and that there are always people around you to help you. It's like
You got no excuses,
no
bro.
excuses, man.
And that makes me not even want to be around you. Cause then you're
Yeah,
gonna start to pull me down.
right,
You know what I mean? That's
right,
why we're doing this podcast.
right.
Tap into our podcast, bro. Yo, we're changing a lot of people's mentality, bro. And we don't like people tell me on a daily basis, like, what I'm doing with this podcast is a good thing. And it makes me proud, bro. Even with the small following we have.
Right,
You know what I mean? We're
right.
changing so many people's mindsets and how they structure their lives, bro. And that's
Yep.
that's vital. And I'm
Eh,
proud of us for that.
for sure, man. And that's even changing my mindset because I said this before, and I feel like this is gonna be a thing that we're gonna continue to say. We are not giving nobody no advice from the top of a mountaintop.
No.
This week there's gonna be a moment where I'm gonna have to cut this on and listen to it because we're human, bro. And that's the beauty of it. It's like nobody want to listen to nobody who is 100% perfect. Because if you're 100% perfect, you're not human. You know what I mean? So it's like, bro, like we are still learning and growing. There are so many mistakes that I've made, mistakes that you may have made. It's like, it's the beauty of it. And it's a small it's a small group or whatever, but at the end of the day, we're doing this because we know that like God has a greater outcome. This is kingdom business, and with kingdom business is always levels that you can't even see. You can't even see with your physical eyes. It's like it's so much that is going to come about from this. So, we're just going to continue to stay consistent. Obviously, like I said, we are always busy, but it's always exciting to get back to it, man, and just do what we do, man. This is natural. This is right from the spirit. It's not, like it's when it's from the spirit, it's authentic, man. Now, when it comes to like if we're doing this from the flesh, then you have ulterior motives and things like that. But we're not operating from there. We're operating from the right place. And I feel like because we're doing that, God is gonna grow this thing big time.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, man. This has been episode 8 of the Infinite Charge podcast. I can be reached on Instagram at Malachi White with the E is a 3. And
they know .ty.
Yeah, feel free to reach out to us, conversate with us, talk about the podcast, whatever. We're open to, any type of discussion. And we love you guys. I just want to take the time to say that. We love you guys. Whether it's 10 people, 15 people, 20,
3
30, whatever.
people.
Or whether if by the time you're listening to this, it's maybe over 1 million people. I don't know. Regardless of how many people it is. Yeah, we love y'all, man. We love y'all.
Yeah.
And you deserve to enjoy this life.
Man.
You deserve to enjoy this thing. You deserve to enjoy this journey. You deserve to allow yourself to relax and to quiet those negative voices in your head that are beating you down. You deserve to just relax and allow God to move you forward. But yeah, this has been great, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 8 of the Infinite Charge podcast. Be easy, stay charged.
Most importantly, stay blessed, man.
Yes, sir.